New deck, new week, or new week, new deck. And this week we are going back to a classic which holds a special place in my heart because this is my favorite deck. It was funny because when we started sleeving these up, Josh was like, I'm just going to put enchantments in these to begin with because this is the deck you're going to be playing. And he's right. I love this deck. Hello there, Lorcana lovelies. Today on the weekly replay, I'm looking at what happened this past weekend. And the tournament that we are playing decks out of are the Pro Play Summit in Pittsburgh event that happened this weekend. And the first place list was, again, my favorite archetype, which is steelsong. So we are playing steelsong versus dogs. Let's go into those lists and see what they look like, and then I'll show you the gameplay that Josh and I got when testing out these decks. All right, let's start with my favorite deck here. We're going to look at some Amber Steel song lists. So when I was playing this one, this felt very much like a return to kind of the classic tempo style steel song, where we have a lot of removal, a lot of options, and also a lot of ways to just keep playing out more and more characters. There's card draw. There's everything you want in a deck, at least in my opinion, in this deck here. So the deck list here is we haven't seen Amber Steel in the last little bit. We've seen, I guess, some aggro versions of it, but we haven't seen a true tempo version of Amber Steel that felt like a really strong contender, I would say, since rotation with Fable. Actually, probably since before that, because it was kind of aggro styles before that. So let's look at what we got here. Let's look at the exciting cards. I'll try to do this as quickly as possible because I'm really excited about this and probably could talk about this for a while. So what do we got here? Well, bringing in the aggro cards from kind of the last couple builds. We do have the Lilo that returns from your discard pile, and we do have the rhinos. So the little rhino that makes something bigger, and then the shift target, the shift rhino like a turn later that is resist and quest for 2, and it's just kind of an awesome all-around card. We do, as far as like our standard gotta go in Amber, if we're playing Amber cards at this point in time goes, we have Grandmother Willow. She just makes one character cost 1 less each turn, and when you have multiples of her, that's a whole bunch of them. So there's a couple games where I had 2 of them out, which just meant my Lilos were free at the very beginning of my turn when they came back from my discard pile. As far as kind of like new cards go into this, we do have the Angel. We have both Angels actually. We have the Angel that everybody was talking about since she was spoiled, which is the one that is kind of like the replacement Cindy. So she costs 2 and she's Singer 3. However, if you're going second, she only costs you 1 on turn 1. So great card there. And she does feel really good. It feels great to be able to play this, I was going to say Cindy, this Angel, and be able to sing things again on turn 2 with her. And it gives you that benefit for going second, that kind of what was missing all along. The going second never necessarily felt great. Well, in this case, I can play my Angel. In fact, one game, I was sitting there with Josh. I was going first. I was like, I want to go second. I want to play Angel and sing something on turn 2. So it is a genuine, like, good thing here. A nice little benefit for going second, especially if you can get Angels in your hand. And what does Angel want to sing? Well, we've got 2 options for what Angel wants to sing. You can either Strength of Raging Fire something, which means on turn 2, if you are singing with her, you are hitting for 2, so long as you play the second character. Or if that second character that you played was a Grandmother Willow and you have a 1-drop in your hand, you can now hit for 3 damage. That feels pretty good. She also has what I'm going to miss the pronunciation of, so I'm just going to call Angel Song, which is a great card here. So it draws you a card and it makes your next character cost 2 less. So again, in theory, turn 1, you go second, you play Angel. Turn 2, Angel sings Angel Song, which means if you ink something, you can play something that costs 4 on turn 2, which is great. So there was one time when I played a Rhino on turn 4, which was awesome, or I played a Grandmother Willow, and now I could play another card that costs, let's see, 1 discounted from the Grandmother Willow and the 2 for the turn. So I could play like a Grandmother Willow and a Nani and then go look for more cards. Just a great feeling deck there. We have Pluto for being able to benefit us from challenging into things with our steel characters. And we can also banish those pesky items, which like Emerald Chromicon is the one that's got to go. And we do have kind of the Ariel ethereal voice. I only got to use her once. I really like the idea of her. You play her, you boost her, and now whenever you sing a song, which there are a good amount of songs now in this deck, you can draw a card. So it feels great there. So this was the Amber Steel list. I'm very excited to be going back to it. It is done by Ben Fishman, and he went and he came first at the tournament this weekend. So What are we playing against? Let me skip forward here. We're playing against dogs. Surprise, surprise, dogs is a very strong, very fast deck. So this deck is by David. I didn't see a last name on Ink Decks, but we have our dogs deck here. So at this point in time, dogs is like a figured out sorted deck. It is a strong deck, and plus or minus a couple of cards, we have pretty much kind of like a solid dogs core at this point in time. You have your ladies, you have your tramps, which is, the dogs, part of the dogs. We have our go-go's for being able to gain that extra little bit of lore if we need to, especially late game. You want to play that go-go, hoping that there's enough damage on a character that you can just kind of like win right there. We have Grandmother Willows, same thing we just talked about, the discounting characters. Ursula and Mowgli for stripping cards out of our opponent's hands is really good, especially with action-heavy decks like the one I'll be playing, to be able to strip those cards out of your opponent's hand. And the fun thing here is we have the Mickey Mouse Amber Champion. So he has Singer 8, and he makes your Amber characters, their defense a little bit higher. So the Singer 8 here, the important part for this one is we have Under the Sea. So there's a lot of little character decks going around, and Under the Sea, Mickey can sing it just himself, which is great. Feels real bad to be on the other side of that, but it is a fantastic card here. You got your Lilos, your Rhinos, your Nannies, as far as like standard Amber cards go at this point in time. And then the Big Tramp. Big Tramp feels great. Play him for a discount when you have a lot of characters out. Draw that many cards and then discard that many cards. It means that you can either check your Lilos in your discard pile, which means you can bring them back, or you can really dig for those couple cards that you need. So if you don't need Under the Sea, you can get rid of it. If you do need Under the Sea, you can kind of dig for it there. So those are our decks that we're playing. Let's go into some gameplay, and then I have some follow-up. Spoiler, I love the Amber Seal list. Game one here, Josh is on the play. So Josh does want to be on the play. He's got the aggro deck, so the earlier he sets up, the better for him, because he can kind of, play all those characters. Now, he starts with a lady. I really like starting with a lady because if you can play a bunch of characters out in subsequent turns, she quests for a lot more. I get to play the Angel, the coming from behind Angel here that costs one less if you are on the draw, which I was there. And looking at my hand here, I have Angel's Song, which means that something is going to cost me 2 less next turn, which means that I can really develop my board state really well. Josh is going to be able to quest up to 3 there with the lady by increasing her strength, but I'm going to be able to kind of get some bigger characters out to be able to start to challenge down his characters or control them in kind of that way there. Now, there are a good amount of removal songs in the steelsong deck here, but you can see here that Rhino with the 4/3 and the resist. The resist means that the vast majority of Josh's characters and dogs are not going to be able to get past that resist too. So Rhino is kind of going to be indestructible. Josh is going to play the Chromacon. The Chromacon is a key piece of a key piece for him here, because bouncing my characters is not necessarily that good for me, because obviously then need to replay them. However, my characters are cheap enough in the steelsong deck here that I am less concerned with that. I can afford to replay them. Whereas a lot of the bigger creature decks, like anything with Ruby in it, or a lot of like the bigger ones like the control decks, it means that if you bounce their big characters, they only get to really replay 1 per turn, unless they've obviously ramped high enough here. I am going to be questing with Rhino. Again, the idea here is that I'm going to develop my board state and then hopefully try to run past Josh, or, take care of his board. The Rhino there is kind of an indestructible one, except for that lady. That lady can punch pretty hard. So Josh is going to Under the Sea, which makes me really sad. I kind of forgot Under the Sea was an option here. And most of my characters, like I said, were nice and real small. So Josh has got a great board state now here. I've got a Rhino out, and I play an Aerial Ethereal Voice. All of my discounts are gone for my Grandmother Willows, and Josh gets to bounce the Aerial. So bouncing Aerial versus Rhino. The Rhino's obviously exerted, so it makes sense to bounce the Aerial, because it also means that he can then challenge in and try to get rid of the Rhino. With the Rhino out there, too bad the Rhino wasn't there, because that Pluto does mean that I am going to be able to start to gain lore off of my steel characters challenging in. However, I do need the steel characters out there to be able to do that. Josh quests up to 11. I play out an Angel and a Doc, which means that I get to draw 2 new cards. And because the Pluto, I do get to banish an item. So banishing the item there, obviously the Chromacon, I really don't want him to bounce my characters that much. And then I'm going to start to challenge him to try to clear up his board. So I get rid of the lady first, small amount of damage, but also she can quest for a good amount of lore with that tramp out there. And he can just bring the Lilos back. So getting the lady out where she will like remain gone. I mean, I guess it could have gone either way. You want to get rid of a 2-lore quester. I play Nani. Nani kind of has done the same thing to me that Ariel always used to, which is not find anything at the top of my deck. And I'm going to sing He Hurled His Thunderbolt to get rid of the lady that can quest for 3, because I want to be able to get rid of his biggest lore things, because I don't want him to be able to be at that like 18, 19 lore and be able to cross that finish line there. Now, it is important for me to remember that Josh does play Go-Go, so I don't want to have a lot of damage on my characters because I don't want him to be able to gain that extra lore off of them. And so this is just kind of control the board state here. So I Strength of a Raging Fire and I quest out. Josh is going to play a Nani and get characters himself. Most of his deck should be like the 1 or 2 cost of cards, which means he should be able to have options off of it. And back to my turn here, I do get an Angel, so the Snowball Throwing Angel. I play that, and then I'm going to quest out, questing up to 12. I think I took out the Ursula with the dock there, which meant that I would have gained the 2 lore off of the Pluto. And Josh is going to try to deal with my board state a little bit there. So I draw an Angel. I'm going to discard an Angel to the Angel to do 2 damage to his Lilo. I'm going to take out his other character, and then we're going to call the game there because I've got enough control over the board that I win. So I win game 1, going on to game 2. Game 2, I'm on the draw again, which means keeping an Angel is good. Josh plays a Bobby to start, which means that he can discard something, kind of loot through his deck to figure out what he needs, and I get the Angel, which is exactly what I want. Josh is going to play an Ursula, and I show him that I've got 2 of the exact same card, so it's coming out either way, but personally I would have loved to have gotten discounts twice in a row to be able to play just a whole bunch of big characters. But it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about one here. So I play Angel's Song. It draws me a card, and then my next character is going to cost 2 less. So if I ink, that is a character I can play for 4, which is awesome. Or like a Grandmother Willow for free right there. And then I can play a 3-drop, which is Nani. So Grandmother Willow gives me an additional discount. So Nani only costs 2 there. I'm going to pick a Grandmother Willow off of the Nani when she comes into play. And then we're going to go back to Josh's turn. So I've developed a good board state. Turn 2, and I've got 3 characters out. One's a 3/3, which is great here. Josh bounces the Grandmother Willow back to my hand, but that's okay because I'm going to be able to play out a Grandmother Willow, ink a Angel, play a second Grandmother Willow. So that is 2 sets of discounts that I'll be getting at the beginning of my turn. And then I will quest for 1. I quest for 1 with Nani because she's a 3/3. She's going to, anything that Josh wants to toss into her, she'll take out. Josh is going to target her with the Rhino, which means that she gets -1 strength, but she's still pretty big and beefy there. And I'm going to play a Snowboarder Stitch. So I love Snowboarder Stitch. He says when he quests, if you got 2 or more characters out, you get to draw a card. So he's a good piece of card draw here. He's also like a 4/5, so he's pretty tough and he's pretty punchy. Josh plays a Tramp. And so he gets to draw and discard, so he gets to play a Tramp again because he's got that there. So the Tramps cost 1 less for each character you have in play. So he plays 3 Tramps. So I was looking at this, and I was thinking there's absolutely no way I come back to this. What he's doing right now is he's tossing cards into his discard pile because he's looking for Lilos because he can play them from the discard pile. I think I was looking at this thinking, I don't know what to do with this. So I'm going to quest with the Stitch, draw a card, hoping for an answer here. I'm going to play a Lilo. I'm going to play a second Lilo. I'm going to try to pretty much play out as many cards as I can. And then I count his lore here. So I think I was looking at this saying, there's no way I'm going to win this. I'm trying to figure out who I want to quest with, who I want to turn sideways, who I want to keep upright. I quest with my biggest characters, and then I'm going to pass the turn. Looking at the board state here, we definitely both have good board states, but I do know that dogs can just kind of take off really quickly. Those 3 tramps at 2-6 that quest for 2 are going to make it difficult for me to kind of like keep Josh's board under control. And the fact that he just quested for 12 in 1 turn does mean that I do need to take out most of his field. So at this point in time, I kind of pick up my cards, and I think Josh stops me and said, whoa, wait a minute. What do you actually need to do to win? So let's pretend you're at a tournament, and let's pretend like, let's pretend like you think you can do it. So I start to kind of go through here and take out what I can in ways to try to make my characters survive as best as possible. Now, it is important to try to take out those tramps, but at the same time, I don't have a lot of big characters to take them out. So we're taking out the small characters first. And then questing with the Lilos. So that puts me up to 9. Josh will be able to quest for 7 next turn, so that puts him up pretty high there. But at the same time, I am going to win now on my turn. So we're double checking that math, and I do say to Josh, I win. So Josh is forced to now challenge me down as opposed to questing. If he were to be able to quest, he would just need a go-go to be able to win. But he instead now has to take my characters out. So we've got to use the tramps for that. I think he's going to do the smart thing here and take out just enough. So in his mind, in his math, he takes out a Lilo and he takes out one of the smaller characters. He is now setting me back so that I will not be able to win. He quests up to 16, and then he kind of plays another character. So he's trying to keep his field as wide as possible, and same with me. So he just needs 4 lore to win. And it will take a lot of my characters to deal with those tramps or some removal songs. So I am kind of doing my math and kind of counting stuff out here. I think I got a Pluto. So Pluto means that my steel characters now gain me 2 lore whenever they take out one of Josh's characters. So in this case, it's neutral on the Goliath. I still gain the lore from the Goliath, and I get to take out one of his tramps. I have lots of characters out, so that Strength of Raging Fire gets rid of the other tramp. And I do kind of need to take out his 3rd tramp. Reason and rationale being that, like I said, a go-go will be able to win him the game, so I need to take the 2 lore quester off the table. Best way to do that is to be able to throw the Nani into him. What we're kind of discussing right here is that I should have quested with Stitch first because it would have told me what my options were. So I drew a He Hurled His Thunderbolt. I have no singers to sing He Hurled His Thunderbolt with, which means that I could have done enough damage to the tramp with that. Now I would have needed the Goliath for that, which means that I think it works out to be neutral because I would have needed the Goliath for that, and the Goliath took out another tramp. So instead I used my 2 characters to take out his tramp. I take out the Rhino as well. Again, the thought being we don't want a go-go there to make it so that he can win the game. He doesn't have a go-go though, so Josh is probably going to want to play out most of his hand, but at this point in time we kind of count it up and I will have enough to win the game, so that is me in 2. So we only made it to 2 games here, and the reason for this is hopefully what you can see, which is that the Amber Steelists just have so much ability to board control, especially against aggro decks. It has enough of an ability to be aggressive itself and get a bunch of characters out, which means it can challenge in if need be, but the fact that it has the Strength of Raging Fire and He Hurled His Thunderbolt, so 8 pieces of song removal, plus the removal as far as like the bigger characters go, and then the removal benefits in the form of like the Pluto Steel Champion just kind of make it a really deck for being able to control our opponent's board. It also means that if we can control our opponent's board, this is where the tempo part of a tempo deck comes in. We can kill their tempo while pushing our own forward. So play a bunch of characters, and the fact that a lot of the removal is song-based means that we can use our characters to sing the removal and then be able to play more characters. So we're building our board while taking out our opponents. It just feels great. It feels like a really good solid deck, and it feels like what I've been missing, which is I really love tempo removal style decks. Steel Song was always my favorite. I did the best I've done with it because I think it is like it's my favorite archetype, and so I'm really glad that something is coming back for this archetype. The Ariel ethereal voice, I've always looked at her and thought like she's gonna be really good if we get enough songs for like an Amber singers deck again. And it feels like we're kind of getting there. Personally, I'd love one, a removal song that draws me a card again, but I think that that's going to have to live in Infinity for now. So it's back. We're going back to the classics here. So Amber Steel. So hopefully you Ruby players will be getting your Ruby cards soon for that to kind of get your standard classic decks back with, you know, your big removal. We're gonna now, I got no complaints. I'm gonna go re-sleeve this up, make sure all of my pretty enchantments are in there. I'm gonna play this for League tonight.